I'll never forget coaching my son's 7, 8-year-old machine pitch baseball team. And it's the last game of the season, and we're all kind of getting ready for the game. And the head ball coordinator and the machine pitch coordinator showed up, and they had this box of trophies. And I said, "What is this?" I said, "Oh, these are the trophies for your boys, for your team." I'm like, "We won 2 games. 2 games. 2 games. What are these trophies for? 2 games. Oh, everybody gets a trophy." I was so repulsed by that. I mean, dude, my career ended on a rainy, cold night in eastern Arkansas, losing in the state playoffs in football. That's how my football career ended. We were our conference champions and made it through a few rounds of playoffs, and we get all the way in eastern Arkansas and play some team and lose in the mud. Crying. These kids won 2 freaking ball games in machine pitch baseball, and we're going to give them trophies. I knew. This was mid-90s. I knew something was weird with that. But before, I seriously wasn't going to give them out, but the dadgum kids seen them, and then the mothers seen them. And I don't want to be a rear end, so I give the darn things out. Guys, we got a problem in this country, and that is, or actually in this world, and that is there's no personal responsibility. We don't take personal responsibility for our actions, for what we do. You've got to own it. I mean, crud, I go all over the place and talk to groups all the time, and I give them 6 lessons in life. And number one, not 5, not 4, number 1 is own your own life. Take personal responsibility for your own life. And we're not doing that in this country. And you know, I'm a Gen Xer, and I was told, I don't give a rip if this makes me feel, you think I'm older. I don't care. I could care less. But, I mean, I was told my whole life I could do whatever I wanted when I grew up. I could be president of the United States. I mean, that's what we were all told. Well, heck, the people in their 20s and 30s today were told the same thing. But there's a plague in this country of people thinking that they should get whatever they want. And that is not the same thing as being told you can do whatever you want. Man, life's tough. Life's hard. I've talked before about this idea of us comparing ourselves to other people. There's no way I should compare myself to Warren Buffett, the billionaire. No way. Do you know why? You know, let's say, I think I saw the other day he's worth like $85 billion. How do we know that Warren's not a slacker? How do we know he shouldn't be worth, if he really put out, he'd be worth $100 billion instead of 85? How do we know he's not a slacker? So why would I compare myself to him? I got to compare myself to me. How did I do on my eating this week? How did I do getting in the gym this week? How did I do treating my spouse better this week, being more attentive to my children this week, working on my goals this week, my career goals? Dude, I'm 40, I don't know how old I am, 48, 49? I don't care. I care less. But I grind every dadgum day, every day. Every day's an opportunity for me to get that much closer to my goal. Every day. I got friends that have retired by this time from fire department and military. Come on, dude, turn the lights back on. But I got to grind every day. I don't mind that. I don't care. But I'm not going to sit around and demand that someone give me something that I have not fully earned and deserved. Guys, I flunked out of college when I first went. I don't know why I wasn't like other kids that go and do well. I got good grades in high school. I did well on my entrance exams. But I thought it was too hard, and I flunked out. Flunked out. I go back to college, I don't know, 18, 20 years later. I have a wife, I have 3 children, and I'm running a business. I made a 3.25, graduated. I learned from that failure 18 years earlier. And the next time, even with more responsibility, more workload, I was ready. You know, Zig Ziglar has a great quote, make failure your teacher, not your undertaker. You got to learn from failure. You can't stomp your foot and stick out your lip and demand this life give you anything. Go take it. That's the American dream. The American dream isn't everyone's a millionaire. The American dream is everyone has the chance, the opportunity. You know, heck, we got a fight in this country about that southern border right now. Why is that a problem? Because people want to come here. No one's fighting to get into Canada. No one is fighting to get into Austria or Poland. There's no Polish dream. There's no German dream. There's the American dream, and everyone on the planet knows it. And they want in here because there's an opportunity. Guys, name one thing the government does better. Name one thing the government does well for us. Name one thing. They don't. The private sector does everything better. But today, politically, there are so many politicians that their solution is give it to the government. Give our health care to the government. Give our retirement to the government. Give our education to the government. Let the government, this goofy stuff of letting the government pay us a living wage. No. I want my freedom. I want the opportunity to get up out of the mud, clear the blood, rinse the blood out of my mouth from life punching me, get my head on straight again, and move forward. There's a great quote from the movie Rocky Balboa. He's talking to his son about how life doesn't owe him nothing. And he says, listen, life's going to hit harder than you. But life's not about getting hit. Life's about how much you can get hit and keep moving forward. Edison tried over 2,000 times to create that light bulb. Man, if he was if he grew up in this era, he would never have done it. It'd been too hard, too much intensity. But in an interview, he was asked, what would he be doing right now? The interviewer asked him, what would you be doing right now if you had not successfully created that light bulb? He said, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. He said, I would be in there right now working on that. Because every failure that Edison went through taught him something. It taught him to change his approach and try again. But today we don't do that. We have failure and we just quit. I mean, crud, our women are unhappy because our dadgum men aren't getting up off the ground and going and fighting for stuff. Our men are unhappy because they can't understand why their women aren't happy. And the whole thing has to do with owning your own life, taking personal responsibility for who you are, for what you get, and what you have. It is your fault. Whether you're succeeding in life or failing, whether you've made it and you're on a Caribbean island somewhere, or whether you're struggling and fighting in your 40s still to get rolling. It's all on you. That's the secret. Tell you what, guys, we keep avoiding our responsibility. We keep demanding other people give us stuff. Why in God's name is it your God-given right to go take money from some multimillionaire that spent 25 years of his life building a business, who did not buy his first house until he was in his 30s? Come on, brother. Turn this light on. Lights are killing me. Come on. There you go. Who didn't buy his house until he was in his dadgum 30s? Because what he did, the first thing he did is he went and bought office space and he lived in his freaking office. Slept on the floor in his office to build his business. Put off getting married to build his business. Or has a divorce because he built his business. Paid for part of his success with a failed marriage. But he needs to be taxed 100% or whatever so I can have more. It's not fair. What were you doing those 20 or 25 years? Guys, we're going down a slippery slope here. And we got to turn it around. And the dadgum Lewis and Clark weren't out there blaming people when they were crossing into the West. Grant and Lee weren't out there blaming people when they were fighting for the North and the South. Lincoln wasn't out there blaming people. He was getting stuff done. Churchill wasn't blaming people in World War II. We got to get going. By the way, let me give you a quick history lesson. I got to wrap this up. Let me give you a quick history lesson about Hitler. Do you know Hitler was elected? The German people elected him. And then he convinced the congressmen, the leaders, the Senate and congressional leaders, to grant him some emergency powers. And I mean above and beyond. I mean like some crazy powers. And they passed laws and did it. What they did is they went too far. They gave him too much. And so the first thing he did, now that he had all this power, is he named himself the Führer of Germany. And then he proceeded to kill about 140 of those men that had voted that were in his opposition. Killed his political leaders off. And what he promised equality for all. He promised that Nazi socialism take care of everybody. Because there's a problem with socialism. Just like the German people, you can vote yourself into it. But you have to shoot your way out of it. And I'm telling you today, the reason Nazi Germany happened is because the dadgum German people were sitting around whining because of the sanctions put on them after their participation in World War I, in their depression, just like the rest of the world, and they were crying and whining and saying everybody's picking on us instead of being responsible for their own success or failure. Own your own life.